All right, today we're tackling a really core concept in cyber defense, one that's all about flipping the script on attackers. It's called the cybersecurity pyramid of pain. Let's get right into it. So let's start with this question. How do you actually make an attacker's life miserable? I mean, it's not just about blocking a single attack, right? It's about making it so hard, so expensive for them to operate that they just give up and go look for an easier target. So how do we do that? Well, the answer is this fantastic framework. The Pyramid of Pain is like a strategic map for defenders. It shows us that not all clues an attacker leaves behind are equal. Some are super easy for them to change on the fly, while others can completely torpedo their entire operation. So here's our roadmap for the climb. First, we'll get the big picture of what the pyramid is all about. Then we're going to climb it, level by level, from the easy stuff all the way to the top. And finally, we'll talk about the huge advantage this gives us as defenders. Okay, so let's start with the fundamentals. You need to know this isn't just some abstract theory. This is a super practical guide used every single day by people working in cyber threat intel, threat hunting, you name it. It helps them focus their energy where it's going to have the most impact. And here is the absolute key takeaway. The whole point is to climb higher. See, if you're only defending at the bottom of the pyramid, you're basically playing whack-a-mole. You block one thing, another one pops right up. But as we climb, our actions force the attacker to spend more time, more money, and more effort, causing them some serious operational pain. All right, let's start our climb at the very bottom. These first few levels are the indicators that are frankly trivial for an attacker to change. They're the foundation, you have to do them, but you can't only do them. So first up at the base, hash values. A hash is just a file's unique digital fingerprint. You know, you take a malicious file, you generate its MD5 or SHA-1 hash, and you block it. Simple. The problem is that fingerprint is incredibly easy to smudge. So how easy is it? It's this easy. An attacker takes their malware, changes a single, tiny, insignificant bit of data inside it, and poof, the hash is completely different. The file still does the exact same nasty stuff, but to your detection system, it looks like a brand new file. It's nothing for them to do this. Okay, one step up from hashes, we've got IP addresses. I mean, every security team on the planet blocks bad IPs. It's just basic hygiene. But for any half-decent attacker, their infrastructure is totally disposable. You block one of their IP addresses, no problem. They just hop over to another one. And they have clever tricks to make this even harder for us. A classic one is fast flux. Basically, a single malicious domain name will point to a whole list of IP addresses that changes constantly, sometimes every few minutes. It makes blocking by IP almost a waste of time because the target is always moving. And then we get to domain names. Now, this is a little bit more annoying for an attacker to deal with since they usually have to register a new domain, but it's still pretty easy. And they'll use sneaky tricks like puny code. Take a look here. That domain on the right looks like Adidas, right? But it's not. It uses a special character that makes it a totally different domain, leading you to a phishing site. Okay, we're climbing into the middle of the pyramid now. This is the turning point. This is where the things we do as defenders start to get genuinely annoying for the bad guys. We're actually forcing them to stop and rework their approach. So, first up in this annoying tier, we have host artifacts. The best way to think about these is like clues left at a digital crime scene. These are the files they drop onto a machine, the registry keys they change, all the little breadcrumbs they leave behind. So what does it look like in practice? Well, we hunt for things like malware dropped into specific system folders, or weird changes to the Windows registry that make their malware run at startup. Or, strange behaviors, like seeing Microsoft Word suddenly launch PowerShell. When we detect these, the attacker has to rethink how they operate on a machine. And right alongside host artifacts, we have network artifacts. Now we're shifting our focus from what's on the computer to the conversations that computer is having over the network. We're looking for weird, telltale patterns in that traffic. And here is a fantastic real-world example. The Emotet Trojan, a really nasty piece of malware, used very specific user agent strings when it called home to its command and control servers. A normal browser would never use these, so defenders could write a rule to spot and block traffic with these specific strings. Now that is annoying because the bad guys have to go back and actually recode their malware's communication protocol. Okay, Now we're getting close to the top. When we start going after an attacker's tools, we're not just being annoying anymore. We are actively taking away their weapons. This is where it starts to get really painful for them. And here's why. An attacker's toolkit is a huge investment for them. They've spent a lot of time and sometimes a lot of money building or buying their custom backdoors, their password cracking tools, all that stuff. So when you can detect the tool itself, no matter what its hash is or what IP it's coming from, you've just made that entire investment worthless. They have to start from scratch. And how do we pull this off? Well, this is where we bring out our heavy hitters. We use things like really specific antivirus signatures, we write our own custom detection rules with powerful tools like Yara, and we can use something called fuzzy hashing, which can spot files that are similar, even if they aren't identical. These all target the core DNA of the attacker's software.
And here we are. We've made it to the summit, the absolute peak of the Pyramid of Pain. At this level, we stop chasing individual files or IPs, and we start going after the attacker's entire game plan.
The top of the pyramid is all about TTPs. That stands for tactics, techniques, and procedures. So we're no longer focused on a single artifact, we're focused on their behavior. How do they get in? How do they spread across the network? How do they steal data? It's their entire playbook, which we can often map to a framework you might have heard of called the MITRE ATTNC matrix. And this is the end game. When you can detect an attacker's core behavior, let's say you spot them in the middle of a pass-the-hash attack, you've blown their operation wide open. They're completely exposed, and now they have two choices. Option 1, the hard, expensive, painful route. Go back to square one, change their fundamental methods, retrain, retool. It's a nightmare. Or option 2, which is way more likely, they pack up their bags and find someone else to bother. That right there is the defender's checkmate. So after that climb, what's the big picture here? The Pyramid of Pain is this incredibly useful way for us as defenders to think. It pushes us to level up our game, to move beyond just chasing hashes and IPs, and to really focus our efforts on creating detections that make life as difficult and as expensive as possible for the adversary. And that really brings us to the final critical question you should ask yourself. Take a look at your own defenses, your own security program. Where are you spending most of your time and energy? Are you stuck at the bottom, just playing that endless game of whack-a-mole with IPs and hashes? Or are you climbing up, building detections for their tools and ultimately for their TTPs? Because the higher you focus your aim, the more pain you're going to cause and the safer you're going to be.